no one cares about your life. And why should they?
No.
They're trying to escape theirs.
Absolutely.
So you give them what they came for, but the difference is not everyone comes for the same thing.
Mm-mm.
Hi, welcome to the Modern Waiter Podcast. I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter, where we discuss all things restaurant business. Learn something, laugh at something. On today's episode, we will share with you our podcast journey, why we started the podcast, and what it's like for us working in the restaurant. We'll talk about all those things that we have to do to produce this podcast. But first, the intro.
Tired of working deadbeat jobs for lame pay. I'm tired of getting fired and hired the same day. If you know the rules of the game, then you'll stay. And if you don't, then you'll be a pawn.
As usual, I'm joined by my good friend, Danny Davila.
What's up, people?
Firstly, I want to thank everyone out there. We get a lot of feedback. People are in the comments.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, that's one way to reach us directly. So we want to say thank you. If you do like this episode or this show, and you haven't yet taken the time to either give us a review, take about a minute to do so. If you have less than that,
holla at your boys.
Yeah, give us a comment, or you could even write to us. We're on Instagram, The Modern Waiter Podcast, and themodernwaiter@gmail.com.
Boom.
Let's get right into the show. And as usual, I like to talk about how we come about shows, and this is a little bit different because we're going to talk about why we even started the podcast.
Yeah.
And so from what I remember, there were little drops in the bucket started it for me. But the one thing that I remember kicking it off was we worked together at the old place. I say the old place, It's still your place. And I waited on a gentleman and his wife, and we were talking about the dishes on the menu. And I said, I'm unable to delineate between those two. I think you'll enjoy them both. And he stepped back and he looked at me and he says, delineate? He goes, you must do something else. What else do you do? I said, why do I have to do something else? I didn't say that to him, but
that's what you were thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And those types of things, do those things happen to you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was that. And then I've had other guests that say to me, you must do something else. What else? Or what do you want to do with yourself?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yes. And so that is the genesis of me wanting to do this podcast because, as usual, I want to showcase this business as a way that you can make money. It's a way that you can make short-term money. It could be a transition job, or it could be your professional. Yeah, it could be your livelihood. And so I am naturally a teacher. I'm naturally a person that wants to help. And I did think about it. And this was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
We started, what?
18, right?
Yeah,
2018.
Whatever 4 or 5 years ago is.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. So we started there, and I approached Danny about, I can't even imagine not doing it with you, because how dry would that be? I approached you and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Do you remember much about it?
I do. He came to me, he goes, I got this idea and I think it'd be perfect for us. And he was talking about he wanted to do a podcast. I said, well, what do you know about podcasts? I was trying to ask him. And I said, well, obviously I have the background in broadcasting and stuff, and we kind of we end up streamlining the whole idea together. But it was his baby, and I was just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have you because, as we found out quickly, you are a necessary part to everything that it's like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
We are same but different. And so it's like positive and negative works together to make an electrical charge, and I do enjoy it. And I tell people there was just one show that you missed, and boy, was that it was a decent show.
Yeah,
but
it was.
I didn't like it. I even like when sometimes I have a guest and it's me and the guest and not you, because you have that spark that really lifts me. Otherwise, whew,
we're just talking here.
I'm dry. They say play to your strengths, so it's good. And so I want to talk about, get a little personal about what it's like for us to work in a restaurant and what it's like to produce this thing called this Modern Waiter podcast.
So in the beginning, it was just, I don't even know, like, I remember you said,
Let's start with the restaurant first.
Okay.
Let's let them in. And in general, broad stroke, working in a restaurant, I liken it to controlled chaos.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the more you really, you have to control as much as you can, but you also have to understand that
You gotta let things be what they are.
Yeah.
It has to have a certain kind of balance to it.
There has to be.
Yeah.
There are rules, but there are a lot of exceptions to the rules,
Absolutely.
and it almost has to be that way.
Yeah, you live in a gray area.
You live in a gray area because guests kind of want what they want.
Yes.
You know, and at the end of the day, we had a show about this, about customers always right. They're not always right, but they are always the customer.
Absolutely.
You need people walking through those doors.
Absolutely.
So that is valuable.
Absolutely.
Now you don't want them to walk all over you.
Yeah. No. There has to be boundaries.
Yes.
But they should also feel like they're the customer. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There does need to be boundaries, but they need to feel like they're still the customer.
Yes. How many times have you gone? I know I've gone places where I don't feel like the customer.
Exactly.
Not that I'm trying to abuse the company, but why am I here? Mm-hmm. You know, I could cook at home.
Exactly.
I can go across the street and get something to eat. So why am I here? You need to give me something.
Value.
Give me value.
Yeah.
And I think there are some places that they don't give you value. They don't value you as a person.
Yeah.
They reduce you to
A number
or numbers or product and things like that. And people feel that.
Yeah. That personal touch is huge.
That's why anyone goes almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Because all things considered, the lowest common denominator is food. Mm-hmm. It may or may not be good food. Let's not even talk about that. But people come back to your place because the owner might be there and he may recognize you.
Yes.
You know, you might have a favorite waiter or just have that feel of the place.
Absolutely.
Have a connection for the property, the environment, the physical.
It might not even be the server in general. It could be, like you said, it could be exactly where it's at. It could be the nostalgia it gives you. It could be that feeling that you get when you walk through the door.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to recognize that.
Yeah.
And so I'll give you an example. It was, I don't even remember if it was Christmas Eve, but it was very recently. I was inside. We have a dock, we have a patio, and then we have inside. I was inside, and there was a four-top that wanted to sit outside. We were booked. But as we've learned on previous shows, just because you see open tables doesn't mean that you can sit there.
Absolutely.
And so guests don't understand that. And it's almost to the point where they don't necessarily have to.
No,
I mean, how do you handle that?
It depends on the situation. You know, like, well, I'm a first come, first serve restaurant. So if that table's available, because you guys have reservations, you have to deal with more than I do.
Yeah.
If the table's actually available and we're not on a wait, I let them do what they need to do.
Yeah.
But I also let them know that, hey, you have to go speak with the host just to make sure that table is not already accounted for, stuff like that. There has to be accountability across the board somewhere.
Yeah, because the table might be at the bar.
Exactly. I don't want to step on somebody's toes and they're walking to the table and they're like, where's my table at?
Yeah. I think it's important. The way I would handle that is to not take outdoor reservations at all. Every single reservation would be for inside, and then as you come in, upon availability, you can have outside.
Yeah.
That's how I would handle that. But we don't. We take. We try to accommodate as much as possible. And this guy was being sat inside, and he was swearing at the hosts. I see effing open tables and this and that. I don't care. It doesn't, and it didn't. But our manager came over and pulled him aside and asked him, and he smiled. He said, "Okay, well, where would you like to sit?" He just really wanted to have the guests talk and open up and feel good that we are able to at least entertain and figure out how we can, have a solution.
Remember this situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't like a no. And, we just did a last show about, a delayed no is better than,
than a straight no.
Yeah, a straight dry no. And so I started, and he was very nice to me, as he should, because the way I present myself is, I'm not having certain things. And we started the table off, and my manager was going to move him. And I said, I think he's fine there and things like that. But as he got more of the situation, because I don't think the host really told him how abusive this guy was, and he was going to move him, all of a sudden I don't see the table. I was like, where'd he go? I mean, usually if you move a table, they let me know. I could move the drinks over and things like that. Kick them out. Can't talk to our host like that.
Yeah.
Because then you're empowering him to do that again.
Absolutely.
Whether it be out elsewhere or somewhere else. And that's very important because you don't go to work to take abuse from people.
No.
I think sometimes people forget that, hey,
we're just working.
We're just working. Just because I'm wearing an apron and all that stuff. And you're not really necessarily taking it personally, but I don't care what anybody says. Business is personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least it is to me. I don't understand how it cannot be, because you show up, you put your heart and soul in it, and you're a face. Maybe if it's impersonal, you're on a computer, but it's still
a personal aspect to it. Absolutely,
you're still giving service. And so working, I like my schedule days in a row. There's some people who have, off one day,
on
work
off,
the next day.
Yeah, I can't do all that.
Or every day, every week is a different schedule. I haven't had that in years. I mean, I can't do it.
Years.
Yes. I need a predictable
structure.
Life. Yes. Yes, I need that structure. And each table, it's like a magic trick. We're like magicians, and we're doing street magic or magic in an arena. Every table is a little magic trick.
Yeah.
How do you in your mind categorize what we do in the restaurant?
It's the show, baby.
It's a show.
It's the show.
It's like when you go to Disney. Those people, man, they're amazing, because they are a character,
and that's what they're called too. The thing when you go,
like cast members or something like
exactly.
that. Yeah, and that's important. That's an important concept, because no one cares about your life. And why should they? No. They're trying to escape theirs.
Absolutely.
So you give them what they came for, but the difference is not everyone comes for the same thing. Mm-mm. We did do a show on, reading your tables and things like that, and you have to understand.
You have to read each situation. Each situation could be different. Some people want a little personal touch. Some people want a little bit, like it can be drier, it can be more, approachable, but not and directly in their face kind of thing.
Yes. Agreed. Some people are there for the food. They just want to eat, or some people there for the experience, or some people there to show, the birthday girl or birthday boy a good time,
Absolutely.
feel special and things like that. So really quickly, you have to be that.
You have to read the situation right away.
You have to read the situation right away. It's like being an animal doctor. You're from a chicken to a horse. Those are completely different.
Absolutely.
You got to know the different needs and things like that. And so when I approach a table, I imagine the table is me, and then I go to work. Because then I'm much more, engaged and listening and seeing the body language. I'm big on body language. I'm big on reading the table. We've done this several times. So then getting personal, I know people who've been in the business that are listening, knows exactly what we're talking about. So let's say my shift starts at 4 or 4:30 or whatever, and you have to get ready and you have to commute. So then you're eating at 2, 3, maybe.
If you eat it all before you go to work.
If you eat it all before you go to work, and then you go to work. I just was with my family friend, and she was asking me about eating at work. I said, there's no time. And by the time I'm ready, the kitchen's closed.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to cook for me. So it's like you have this long gap where you're hungry.
Yeah.
Or possibly hungry. I don't know, but I get hangry.
Oh, we all do.
And so what happens for you?
Well, when I go to work, when it comes to food?
When it comes to food.
Well, originally, me and you had a solution for that.
Yes.
We would bring food.
Yes.
When you left,
Because we'd take turns bringing food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll bring food, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just,
Do you count on the scavenger? You scavenge stuff out the window?
Actually, I don't have to, because I've been there so long. I have a great relationship with all my cooks. They'll
Okay.
make me what I want if I want it. You know what I mean?
Towards the end of the night?
Yeah,
or?
exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm never going to bother. We've been in this business long enough where you're not going to bother anybody during the rush.
Mm-hmm.
So either when I first come in, if I didn't eat all day, maybe I'll grab something light, like a quick little salad I toss up myself. Maybe something easy like a little Caesar, throw it together.
Mm-hmm.
Something that just kind of gets me through. You know what I mean? This way I can come in with something.
Do you eat the bread?
No, I don't eat bread anyway, so it's
Okay.
not part of my diet.
Okay.
But I'll start with something light to kind of, and we also do, like not every, but on my shifts, I'm a Thursday through Sunday kind of guy. So that's when we start to roll out the special. So usually on my shifts, on my Friday shift at least, when I come in the afternoon, if I didn't eat, around like 5 o'clock, I'm trying specials. So it almost is redundant. Like sometimes I'll come in and I'll make something really quick. And I'm like, man, why did I make that? Because then I have to try all these specials. And I just wanted something light.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the specials are a good time.
Yeah.
Some places are fortunate enough to have like family meal.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that like?
Yeah.
We used to do it like once a week on a Saturday or something
and,
like that.
It can only happen but once a week. You can't have it every night. There's no way. Sometimes, I guess places do it, but I just...
Well, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments or reach out to me by email or even Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Let me know if you're eating bread at work.
Yeah, how you're surviving the shift.
How are you surviving the shift? Because I'm telling you, it's really challenging for me because back then I used to eat bread, or
Something to pick at.
anything to pick at.
Some soup, something.
Yes. And now I'm more a narrow lane.
Yeah.
I tend to eat only, live food and things like that. So what am I going to pick at?
Exactly.
And I, like you, I have a couple of people I could lean on to say, hey, can you make me this? But that's a narrow window of time.
That's where it really breaks
that
down.
I'm able to do that.
Because when they're first coming in, they're busy. You don't want to bother them at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got to set up.
Exactly. They're part of their. They're coming in to set up, and so when you first get in there, they're just first getting there.
Yeah.
So there's that that tiny window if you're lucky.
Yeah.
In the beginning maybe, or you have to wait until the end.
Yeah.
In that last hour of business where you're like, okay, when you have a moment, can you just throw this on for me and I'll grab it whenever.
And the specials, we're only trying one.
Yeah. Exactly.
So then you're basically getting
a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I end up being like a scavenger bird. I'll kind of float through the window and then I'll grab a little something and I'll scurry away. It's like, and that's how you're just basically surviving.
You're floating to the end of the shift.
You're floating till the end of the shift, and therein lies the problem.
Yes.
The end of the shift means it's the end of somebody else's shift. Where you going to go unless you have food prep at home, or unless and I do this to myself every time.
Yeah. He calls me on a regular, where should I go eat? I need to eat something. I have to eat. I haven't ate yet.
Oh my gosh, every time. And towards the end of the week, I have not gone shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I go shopping several times a week. Like today. Today's Tuesday. I'm going to go today.
Yeah.
But by Saturday, there's no food in the house.
It's the bare bones.
It's the bare bones.
And then you're tired. Think about it. On Saturday when you get home, do you really want to cook at midnight? You know what I mean?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
Okay. You wanna just come home, digest something, maybe put your feet up, or definitely take a shower and then put your feet up.
Yes.
So it's one. You need to find all that. That's where the issue lies.
That's where and so for me, I need to decompress before I do anything.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the feet.
Yeah.
I need new shoes already. I bought shoes in May.
Oh wow.
They're already down to the nub, and I don't work that much, so I
Vicious.
can't. I looked at the bottom of the soles are smooth as eggs.
You're surprised not sliding all around the restaurant, huh?
Man, I'm penguin walking around there. I guess my brain automatically knows which part to kind of shorten my steps and where, because our floors aren't as slick as yours. You have terrazzo. We have pavers.
Yeah.
So I can make them long strides and things like
Gotcha.
that. Man, after one long shift, my feet are killing me. It's I have one of those massage guns.
Yeah.
And I use it all the time. All the time. And it saves me. My shins, my feet, you got to buy good shoes.
Yeah.
And I thought I bought good shoes. Here's the issue. I'll find a great pair of shoes, and I can't find them by the time I need them again. Because they're constantly changing styles, or this whatever doesn't have them.
And you buy nice shoes, and so you're like, I don't want to buy 2 at a time.
No. Who knows? Listen, who knows in this business if you're gonna quit or get fired?
Absolutely.
So you're not trying to stock up on shoes.
Exactly.
No way, man. I barely even want to. I'm again down to one pair of pants. I snagged the back of my new pants already.
It's the worst, right?
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
So those are some of the things. Like everybody's like, boo-hoo, you got to buy shoes for. But I'm spending $150 on shoes.
Yeah.
And I got to do it again. It can't even
Twice
last
a year.
me.
Exactly.
Yeah. It can't even last me
a year.
8 months.
Give me a year.
Give me a year. Yeah. Give me a year. And so how do you deal? Because you work a bit more than I do, or at least longer shifts. How do you deal with the feet, man?
Oh, I get, not all the time, but like when I want to treat myself, I do pedicures.
Really?
Yeah. I get them like every at least twice a year.
Fancy man.
At least twice a year.
Okay.
Well, because we're on our feet all the time, just like you said.
We are.
So at least twice a year. I mean, I'm not like a girl. I'm not there every month. You know what I mean? But if I would like to go every 3 months. Would be ideal, but at least twice a year, every 6 months.
Look at you.
You got to take care of your feet.
You do.
And like you said, somebody coming home, just a simple massage. Give yourself a simple foot massage. Just kind of release some of that tension, because there's a lot of tension in your feet.
Get that vibrating gun, bro.
There's a lot of tension in your feet. You gotta release some of that stuff, and just normal general stretching and stuff like that. Just taking care of your body is all you can do.
Well, okay, what about grabbing things? Because I know bartenders have that. They're always in water, and they're always constantly grabbing things.
Yeah, thank God I don't get the bar rot and stuff like that. That
The fungus?
Yeah.
I keep fit. So I go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and it is so that I can hold up doing this job year after year. And so I look at, we're constantly carrying things. We're constantly carrying trays. We're constantly
throwing
lifting
away
things,
picking up stuff.
Yes, glassware, tables. It's a very physical job.
Yeah.
And so when you carry trays, do you use the fingertips or do you use the hands?
No, I use fingertips.
Okay.
I can do both though.
All right.
I can use both hands too now.
Nice. Yeah. Well, when I was out of alignment, I would switch up my hands. And it does 2 things. When you're carrying a tray with your opposite hands, it helps you to concentrate a little bit more. It helps you to use your opposing muscles, and then it keeps your spine straight. Ideally, you really want to
be able to switch it up.
Be able to switch it up constantly, because you really don't understand clearing.
You want to lean, and then
once you're carrying a tray, you start to counterbalance.
Absolutely.
And if you do that too much,
it throws you off.
And so it helps you to slow down. It helps you to think. It keeps doing things in a different fashion keeps your neuroplasticity, keeps you young, keeps your brain firing. It's uncomfortable for about a few days to a week, but once you do it, you start to develop develop a different type of mental strength and physical strength. But besides that, when there's a large oval tray or heavy trays, I see most people automatically go to, if it's super loaded up, yes, you're going to need to do that.
You need that support, absolutely.
You need the support. Avoid putting it on your shoulder, because then you really have to do more.
Then you're leaning more.
The more you can keep that stable. Here's the thing: your elbow flares out when you have to flatten your palm out. So there's a lot of stress on your forearm and on your wrist. So if you can practice, you could even start to do planks on your fingertips, or even graduate to push-ups to increase your finger strength. And it doesn't take that much strength, because all the pressure is going to be evenly distributed amongst your fingers. So this keeps you in a more neutral position. So although it looks harder, it's actually easier. Where your elbow is in a position where it's in not a lot of stress, and so is your wrist. Your wrist. However, once you move to this, you can notice what happens to my whole levers here, they start to change, and this is more.
That's strenuous.
This is very strenuous. Yeah. Never mind, you start to, do the counterbalance lean there, and even doing this without any weight on it, it's uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But once you do that, this can drop, and you have much more of an even.
Yeah, your flow is better.
Your flow is much better. So I'm always using the fingertips, and it's if you have tumbler glasses, 8, 9, 10 of them, on a tray. And then you have to navigate through a restaurant.
They get heavy, yeah.
They get heavy.
Yeah.
So I feel for people that aren't in shape doing this doggone job. And those are some of the things, besides the mental dance that you have to do, that we go through constantly. So, I mean, I'm really curious to know how people hold up, because, yes, I like my schedule in a row, but I I won't do 5 in a row.
Oh, no.
That's a lot.
I work 5 shifts in a row, but not 5 days in a row.
Huh?
Well, I work 5 shifts, but in 4 days.
Oh, so it's the same thing. You're still.
But that third day is huge for me off. I need that third day.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that third day off and work the extra and then kill myself for one day.
Yeah.
Than have to work 5 days in a row.
Okay. So you're like them nurses and firemen that do like 3 doubles.
I'll dig it. I am.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this is the most physical job in the world. There are other jobs that,
absolutely.
It just happened to be our job.
Yeah.
And now, let's wrap it up now. Besides the physical, let's talk about the mental juggling that we have to do, it being servers or people in the restaurant business.
Well, you're like a chameleon. You're playing all the different parts. That's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're playing to the different people. You're playing, you're like the many-faced god in Game of Thrones.
Never seen that show. And, okay, so let's break it down. What is the mental juggling that we have to do? Because there are a lot of spinning plates that we have to keep up in the air. And it starts with where we're coming from, which is the restaurant side. We have to deal with our mandate from selling specials to what's happening on that particular day. And so we have to deal with a particular chef, a particular cook, a particular manager, particular coworkers. And so, yes, that's number one.
That's the first thing in your mind.
Yeah, those
as you're walking the door. Who's doing this? Who's managing? Who's bartending? Who's my host? Who am I working with?
Yes,
okay?
Yes.
Because you want to know how you want to know how to prepare yourself mentally for your shift.
Yes.
Certain people you'd be like, okay, I'm okay. I don't have to worry about this part of the building or this part of the building, or and then you come and shift like, man, I feel like I'm gonna have to work more today. Who you're with.
Look at who I'm working with.
Yes, who you're with inside, or who you're with, who the person next to you is with. Because like we talk about side work and stuff like that. You share side work with another person. Usually there's 2 people on each side work or something like that. Or even at your spot, you guys you might pool with somebody. So you always like to know who you're with.
Yes.
Because that pertains to how easy your shift's going to be.
Yes.
How that vibe's going to be, and how you can lean on somebody if you need to.
Even if you're not pooling, the person next to you can really affect you.
Absolutely.
Because their guests are going to engage you. Or if they're leaving big trays around or whatever, or not pulling their end of the side work.
Exactly.
And just going for taking care of their tables, that's a problem.
Yep.
So then you end up, those are the first couple of plates that you start spinning.
Yep.
And so as you walk around, you're like, let's, for me, once I see who I'm working with, I kind of set my mentals that way. I'm like, let me either rev up or rev down, or just turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Because I tend to be very direct. I'm like, hey, I don't want this. Not today.
This is how this is flowing.
Yes.
Okay, you're getting on the train with me.
Yes. Well, I really don't. I really want to be, like you said, that chameleon part.
Yeah.
I really want to be the person, still within myself, that can work with
anybody,
with that particular person.
Absolutely.
You really don't want to say, "Oh, I can't work with this person," or whatever the case may be. But you're a professional, so you
have to.
You got to move forward.
Exactly.
Now it comes to the guests. When you have, let's say, a family, or some older people, or some young people, or some businessmen, or a bachelorette party. Those are all
The different facets in the game.
Those are all different facets in the game.
Yeah.
And so even more plates are spinning. They need this on the table. They need to have this picture taken. They need to have, this by such amount of time.
Exactly.
And so as you drill down, it's really a lot of mental juggling that you have to do. Like, okay, I can't do this because this chef doesn't like that, or I have to do that, or they don't want to pay for this, or they have a problem with that. And now anything out of your control, you're still the face. They don't want to hear it.
No, exactly.
They're
You're the
talking
first
to
person
you.
and the last person they see.
Yes, well, the host is the first and the last, but
you know.
yeah. You're the main person that they
They
see.
see, yeah.
They don't see the chef. They don't
No.
see the cooks. They don't see the 86 list. They don't see the wines that we may or may not have, or the beer that that is warm, or the cooler that broke down. There's always something. That's
something.
There's always something.
There's always something behind the scenes.
Yes, the
Always.
bathroom is out of order.
Yes.
I'm curious to know how Disney runs, because I'm sure there's things that happen.
Oh.
But we don't know. The parade must go on.
It always, it has to.
Yeah, when it comes down Main Street, baby, they don't want to hear that, that vehicle's not
That
working.
machine is moving, yo.
Yo, they took their money.
Yeah.
They took your money. So I want to hear it.
That machine is moving.
Yes. So it's the same thing. When the guests walk through the door, we want to take their money. So they don't want to hear that you're out of this. They want to hear that, this ball got dropped, or this cooler's not working, or no. And that's the magic show that you have to.
Yeah, you got to have, at least, if you don't have that option, you better have another option ready right away.
Regarding what?
Like, let's say you're out of something, or you're this, or you're that. You want to be able to be like, to play them in the right direction right away.
Well, ideally, yes, but how many?
Oh, it can go either way
how many
all the time.
Sancerres do you have?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times there's only one choice. There's nothing like sea bass. If you're out of sea bass, if you're out of lobster, you don't have you're serving disappointment. If you're out of the cowboy, you don't have.
Yeah.
If you're out of 20.
I'm not giving you the Indian.
Exactly. So that's that. And just so you know, a successful restaurant's going to run out of stuff.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
If something's going to be fresh, we got to run out of something.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be busy, we got to run out of something. If we always have something, we failed at something.
Yes.
In theory, that's the whole yin and yang thing. In theory, you really never want to run out of anything, but it's a good thing.
And you especially don't want to run out at, in the beginning of your shift or something like that.
Then you drop the ball.
Then you drop the ball.
Yeah.
Now, if you run out when the last hour or two, or last hour of service or whatever, then, like you said, we're a busy restaurant. We're this, we're that. That makes more sense, especially even in the customer's eyes.
Yes.
Because you don't want, then you're kind of like, yes, we did run out, but obviously you saw it took you that 30 minutes to get that table, so we were going to run out of something.
Or deliveries coming at 6:30 instead of 2:30.
Exactly. You're behind the ball.
You're behind the 8 ball.
But you don't want to tell a guest that delivery came in late or anything.
No.
That's the behind the scenes they don't need to see.
They don't need to see,
Yeah.
and they don't know.
Yeah, that's the illusion.
And so what we're probably going to do, we're going to wrap this show up here and do a part 2.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about the podcast side of things, because we went along on the restaurant.
This is what
side
brought
of
us to the
things.
content that we have.
Yes.
And now we're going to talk about how since we've grown the show and doing what we've been doing with the show, how we had to grow the show, how we had to
Everything we had to deal with.
Everything we had to deal with across the board.
So tune in. We do this for you each and every week. Do let us know the issues that you have as a waiter or as a guest in coming to a restaurant. What is it that you see that you don't know, you don't get? What's going on? And so I'm Marlon Joseph, the Modern Waiter.
I'm Danny Villa, subscribe, people.
We'll see you next time.
Later.
So glad